This long rest proves beneficial for Sarnai. She feels rejuvenated. As she opens her eyes, the maid greets her with a cheerful, "Good morning," before one promptly leaves the yurt, while the other kneels beside her bed. Sarnai wonders how they managed to stay busy without waking her. "My lady, today is an important day. The Khan is hosting a banquet in honor of Prince Tuwu's return, and you are invited. We will ensure you are well prepared for this event," the maid informs her. Sarnai sits up and notices her clothes are missing. "Do not worry, my lady, we will return them shortly after cleaning," the maid reassures her. Sarnai says, "Where should I go to, you know?" The maid, understanding her needs without further explanation, brings over an empty pot, a basin of water and some linen towels, placing them at the foot of her bed. She then respectfully stands by the entrance, facing away to provide privacy. After Sarnai is finished, the maid discreetly removes the used pot. Moments later, the second maid returns with breakfast for 3. While Sarnai eats at the table, the maids sit to eat on their respective beds. Suddenly, Tuwu's voice calls from outside. "Are you decent, Sarnai?" Startled, Sarnai stands up, searching for something to cover herself. One maid takes her by the hand, and together, the two maids form a protective wall in front of her. "I am now, I guess," Sarnai replies from behind her maids. Tuwu enters with 4 women, evidently warriors. "I came to see how you are settling into your new yurt," he says, surveying the space. Sarnai, her head just visible between the bowing maids, responds, "I have everything I need, thank you," her voice tinged with discomfort. Tuwu continues, "I took the liberty of selecting 4 female guards who are exclusively assigned to you." For the first time since meeting him, Tuwu appears slightly uneasy. "I guess I will see you this evening. Have a pleasant day, Sarnai," he says, before leaving the yurt with the guards. "Soon we will go to the river for a bath once the sun is high enough," a maid says while untangling Sarnai's long hair. "Is it that obvious that I need one?" Sarnai replies with a hint of self-conscious humor. "I am afraid to say it is," the maid responds candidly. "Curious," Sarnai asks, "how did you both end up serving me?" "If you mean how we came to be assigned to you, Prince Tuwu instructed us to provide you with the best care possible. His sisters selected us from among their own maids to serve you. It's considered a great honor to accompany you. Prince Tuwu is going to great lengths to provide for you. Only imperial women are granted private female bodyguards," the maid explains, accidentally pulling Sarnai's hair a bit too sharply, causing her to wince. "Sorry, my lady," she quickly apologizes. "What will happen if I decide not to attend the banquet this evening?" Sarnai inquires. The maid's voice carries a note of caution. "I cannot say for sure. It might be best not to provoke Prince Tuwu or embarrass the Khan, especially after he has accepted you into his household." Sarnai's clothes return, still damp but clean after the long ordeal. A maid, her arms laden with bathing essentials, leads the way to the river, followed by 2 guards. As they reach the riverbank, the maid begins to help Sarnai undress. "Are you sure it's safe here?" Sarnai asks. "This area is off limits to men," the maid assures her, responding to Sarnai's quest for confirmation as the guards patrol nearby. "I am certain, my lady. Should a man be caught here, he would likely lose his life, or worse, his manhood," the maid asserts while offering Sarnai a white bathing garment. "Very well, then I won't be needing this," Sarnai decides, dismissing the dress and stepping into the fresh water fully naked. It has been years since she last enjoyed this kind of freedom, she recalls. A few minutes later, the maid joins her, wearing a bathing robe. After spending some time floating motionlessly, looking at the empty blue sky, her long hair fanning out in the water, Sarnai moves closer to the maid, who begins grooming her with ashes, clay, and a deerskin scrub. As she meticulously applies the natural treatments, the maid comments on Sarnai's beauty, noting, "I can see why the son of the Khan chose you." The remark, meant to be flattering, instead makes Sarnai uncomfortable, having the opposite effect intended. With that, Sarnai claims she is getting cold and expresses a desire to return to the yurt. Upon returning to the yurt, Sarnai is taken aback to find the interior transformed during her brief absence. Luxurious carpets now cover the entire floor. The bed has been enlarged and outfitted with duck feather pillows, and the walls are adorned with various skins and newly installed cupboards. A foldable curtain has been added, offering privacy for more personal activities. As the second maid applies the finishing touches to the new setup, a box is presented to Sarnai. "A welcome gift from the Khan, my lady," the maid announces. Opening it, Sarnai discovers an assortment of combs, hairpins, and hair sticks made from various materials and in different shapes and sizes. After the maids change Sarnai into a lightweight linen robe, one begins to massage essential oils into her skin, while the other gently brushes through Sarnai's long, fine hair. As the maids continue their attentive preparations, a woman enters the yurt with a respectful demeanor, carrying an array of garments intended for Sarnai to wear at the banquet. Guided by one of her maids, Sarnai heads toward the Khan's yurt for the banquet. Clad in a striking white fur coat with patches of gray and vibrant red fur accentuating the shoulders and collarbones, she radiates a luminous presence. Choosing freely flowing hair over a complex hairstyle, yet adorned with 2 silver hairpins at her maid's insistence to honor the Khan Sarnai, is undeniably the most stunning woman in the entire khanate at this moment. Her entrance into the imperial yurt quiets all conversations. She is escorted to a seat among the women, nestled between Tuwu's sisters. As she offers polite smiles all around, Tuwu's sister warmly returns her smile, while Tuwu's wife pointedly ignores her. Before the festivities begin, it becomes apparent that there is one topic dominating discussions among the guests. Sarnai's attire, particularly her entire ensemble, is almost bridal except for the striking red-dyed fur that distinguishes it from a traditional bride's garb. This subtle yet significant detail does not go unnoticed. The message is clear to all. Prince Tuwu has profound intentions, underscored by the Khan's approving glance toward his son. The banquet itself is a lavish affair, featuring more delicacies than Sarnai has ever encountered. The entertainment is enjoyable without being overwhelming. Conversation with the princesses flows smoothly, revealing their close relationship with Tuwu and their brothers. The princesses are taken with Sarnai's wit and her knowledge of the world, which impresses them deeply. Sarnai finds their company both pleasant and intellectually stimulating, a stark contrast to her experiences with her own clan. As the evening progresses, Princess Hana is the first to leave the party, inadvertently fueling further court gossip. Once the Khan retires, it signals the time for all guests to depart. While being undressed by her maids and dressed for the night in soft linen, Sarnai reflects on the events of the day. In retrospect, it was the most memorable day of her life. Although there were good days in her past, moments filled with joy, none were as intriguing as this one. She feels as though she's stepped into a different yet familiar world, a world she knows she can thrive in. As the maids tuck her in with soft blankets and fluffy pillows, Sarnai experiences true comfort for the first time. Curling up to face the wall, she contemplates what her future here might hold. Food, warmth, leisure, and freedom from the hardships and uncertainties of her past life. But at what cost? Her sister, mother, father, Kutlug, and all her clan, are they worth sacrificing for this new life? Perhaps this is the beginning of a new life ahead of time, with a new loving family, new sisters, new brothers, a new father, a new devoted clan, and even a co-wife. Yet what about love? She certainly doesn't love Tuwu, who until now has mostly shown his fearsome side, though the past day hinted at something more beneath the surface. Summoning all her past experiences for help and guidance, Sarnai finally falls asleep. The following morning hints at a new routine for Sarnai. Once she is up, breakfast is served and her maids attend to her every need. As soon as the meal is over, 5 servants enter, each carrying a new, richly decorated ensemble. "My lady, these are gifts from the imperial household," one of the servants announces. Sarnai thanks the servants before dismissing them and watches her maids store away 4 of the outfits, selecting one for her to wear that day. Now dressed in a beautiful green gown that prioritizes functionality over aesthetics, Sarnai sits while one maid combs her hair and another gives her a manicure. At this moment, 2 princesses request an audience with her. Once they enter, Sarnai bows to them both. "Princess Arya, Princess Sashi, it is an honor to welcome you to this yurt," she greets them. The princesses bow in return. "Lady Sarnai, thank you for welcoming us into your yurt despite the suddenness of our visit," Arya says. For Sarnai, hearing herself addressed as Lady Sarnai truly resonates for the first time. "What brings me this pleasure, may I ask?" She starts the conversation as they all settle on cushions around a low table. Arya, glancing teasingly at Sashi, replies, "I must apologize, Lady Sarnai. I intended to speak with you privately, but my sister insisted on accompanying me. I must tell you, after the banquet yesterday, you left us with a very high opinion of you. My father and all our siblings have been talking about you. Prince Tuwu has shared the details of your, let's say, displacement from your clan. My sisters and I strongly disapprove of his actions, while the Khan and my brother see the merit in it. Surprisingly, Prince Tuwu is no longer certain this was the best course of action, but what's done is done." At this point, the maids serve herbal tea. "I am not here to apologize for my brother. My role is to explain the situation. You are aware of the issue with Princess Hana. Her inability to bear a son is unsettling for the khanate. An heir is needed for the stability of the realm. Don't get me wrong, my other brothers already have sons, so the khanate's future is secured, but it is both humiliating and potentially destabilizing if the rightful heir lacks a legitimate successor," Arya explains. "Therefore, my displacement is justified for the good of the khanate," Sarnai interjects, pausing to sip her tea. "Absolutely not. That's not what I meant," Arya quickly clarifies. "What I'm saying is that Tuwu had many options and he chose you. Despite the unfortunate circumstances, we all believe he will make a good Khan after our father passes. What he needs to become a great Khan is someone like you. My brother is a good man who's been put into a difficult position. He loves us dearly, especially the youngest here," she says, glancing at Sashi, who blushes slightly. "This is why she was so eager to see you again. As a family, we've decided to give Tuwu a chance to amend his mistake." "To win me over, I presume you mean," Sarnai says pointedly. "Yes, something like that, but with more genuine intent. If it does not work out, then we will reconsider our stance," Arya responds. Sarnai's reply is direct. "What time frame are we talking about here? Days, a month, a year? Did he also mention that regardless of what I do, he will force himself upon my purity?" Arya sets down her cup with a sigh, while Sashi looks puzzled by the conversation's turn. "I must admit he did not. I will speak with him about that. I am truly sorry for what my brother has implied," Arya says. "I deeply respect what you are doing for your brother, Princess Arya, but unfortunately, you cannot apologize for him," Sarnai adds firmly. "There are only 2 people a future Khan can apologize to, the current Khan and the other person. Let's see if you are willing to become that other person," Arya concludes. As Arya and Sashi stand to leave, Sashi hesitantly asks, "Can I visit again, Lady Sarnai?" "You will always be welcome here, young princess," Sarnai responds with a strained smile. Still seated, Sarnai adds, "I do sincerely respect you, Princess Arya. I understand that you are navigating troubled waters. None of this is your fault." With that, they wish each other a good day. Sarnai is aware that her conversation with Princess Arya did not unfold as the princess had hoped, but it was important that the truth be spoken. Despite the challenging dialogue, Sarnai believes that Princess Aria's intentions are genuine and that her heart is in the right place. Sitting on her bed, Sarnai decides to take the day off to decompress. Her anger has not entirely subsided, and she prefers not to exacerbate an already difficult situation. In the early afternoon, the voice of the prince echoes outside, requesting an audience with Sarnai. Sarnai chooses to remain silent. Observing this, one of her maids suggests she should respond. "Very well. Tell the prince that I am unwell and will meet with him tomorrow same time." Sarnai instructs quietly. "As you wish, my lady." The maid responds before conveying the message. Curled up on her bed in a fetal position, rocking gently back and forth, Sarnai begins to break down. Sensing her distress, the two maids quickly sit on either side of her, offering their support and comfort. The next morning unfolds as expected. Sarnai, now mentally prepared, is ready to converse with Prince Tuwu if that is indeed his wish. Sitting on a cushion beside a pot of boiling water ready for tea, Sarnai and her maids await the prince's arrival. The tension is palpable as she anticipates the encounter. Then she recognizes the voice of Prince Tuwu approaching. "Lady Sarnai, may I see you?" he calls out. Sarnai gestures to a maid to pull back the yurt entrance, allowing Prince Tuwu to enter. Rising to greet him, she says, "Welcome, Prince Tuwu." "Good day, Lady Sarnai. Would you fancy a ride with me?" Tuwu proposes. Surprised, she responds, "Yes, I would." Outside, two horses await, accompanied by two mounted men. "I took the liberty of bringing your own horse. If you wish, I can arrange a better setup for you," Tuwu offers. "There is no need. He is perfect," Sarnai replies gently, caressing the horse and shaking his mane affectionately. "It is good to see you, my trusty friend," she murmurs to the horse. Noticing the new saddle and harness, she was about to mount when she realizes she's still wearing the same green garments as the day before. The outfit, though unexpectedly suited for riding, does not expose any skin while interacting with the horse. She casts a suspicious glance at her maids before climbing onto her horse. Sarnai and Tuwu are riding slowly side by side, with 4 guards maintaining a respectful distance behind them. To Sarnai, this feels like a reincarnation of the life she endured just a few days ago. They traverse the prairie where various domesticated animals graze sporadically, enveloped by a heavy silence that accentuates their empty gazes toward the horizon. Finally, Tuwu breaks the silence, turning to Sarnai. "How have you been these past days, Sarnai? I haven't seen much of you." "Maybe for the best," Sarnai responds coolly. "I suppose I should thank you for the accommodations for what it is worth. My family is quite pleased with you," Tuwu remarks. "You've made a good impression on all of them. Some are even fond of you," Sarnai replies with a hint of sarcasm. "I'm glad I could accommodate your family. I suppose they're happy you found a good deal on a nice piece of property." Tuwu, taken aback, quickly counters, "I don't view you like that anymore. You are more than that, much more." "Yes, now I'm your prisoner, which I suppose is an upgrade in your world," Sarnai retorts, her voice tinged with bitterness. "You are not a prisoner, Sarnai. You are our guest," Tuwu insists. "If I am a guest, then perhaps it's time for me to take my leave." "Thank you for your hospitality, Prince Tuwu," Sarnai says, spurring her horse into a gallop, her hair streaming behind her. Tuwu, not wanting the conversation to end on these terms, urges his horse to catch up. He manages to grasp Sarnai's reins, slowing her down. Once stopped, Sarnai dismounts quickly and starts walking briskly on foot. Turning abruptly, she faces Tuwu and shouts, "I understand very well what is happening here. You're all playing a twisted game, hoping I'll marry you of my own free will so you can dismiss Princess Hana from your court. I saw how humiliated she was at the banquet." Tuwu, dismounting as well, walks towards her. "I don't want anything bad to happen to Hana. She understands the rules. Her position is simply unsustainable, and she struggles to accept that, but she has no choice. After 7 years without an heir, not even her father can protect her. Her best option is to gracefully accept you. Dismissing Hana for something beyond her control is cruel, Sarnai adds, her voice breaking. Almost as cruel as taking me away from my loved ones. She turns away to hide her tears. I do not wish ill on Hana. We fell out of love, at least I did, but I still respect her, Tuwu says calmly. Does she know that, or are you lying to me now? Sarnai challenges. I have no need to lie to you, Tuwu asserts. They stand silently in the prairie for a few moments, Tuwu waiting for a sign from Sarnai, and Sarnai gathering her thoughts. Finally, turning to face Tuwu, she declares, We will see about that. I put you on trial. Let's see if you are a man of honor. Tuwu, startled by this challenge, asks, What do you mean by putting me on trial? With a serious demeanor, Sarnai replies, Let's see if Prince Tuwu is a good man. One who can be trusted, devoted to his partner, a man of values and courage where his strength is matched by his fairness. In short, let's see if Prince Tuwu can make a good Khan. Now, I think I've found my purpose here. With no title and no prior goal, this will be my main task. I have already seen some of your darkest aspects. Let's see if you can be redeemed for all to see. With that, Sarnai walks toward her horse. You're talking nonsense. Only the Khan himself can judge me, Tuwu retorts. I know of lands far away where greater leaders than Khans have been overthrown by the lowest class of their own people. Power is an illusion that can be shattered by truth. Are you afraid, Prince Tuwu, son of Axion? Sarnai says as she climbs onto her horse. I fear no one, certainly not you, he asserts. Then my first step will be to speak with Princess Hana and hear her side of the story, Sarnai declares before she dashes back toward the village. Tuwu gestures to 2 guards to follow and escort her safely. He remains, his demeanor puzzled by the turn of events. Once more in her linen dress, Sarnai sits on her bed as a maid combs her hair before bedtime. In her mind, she is formulating a test for the following morning. Upon waking and facing the wall, she listens to the maids quietly going about their morning tasks, careful not to disturb her. Pretending to still be drowsy, she rolls over and casually asks a seemingly trivial question while yawning. So, what are my plans for the day? Eager to respond, one maid begins, Today you are expected to... but is quickly interrupted by the other who corrects her. Today we were hoping you would take a bath, my lady. Sarnai, feigning ignorance of the interruption, inquires further, When should we do that? Late morning is always the best time, my lady, the maid answers, and Sarnai nods in apparent agreement. During breakfast, a beautiful garment is selected by a maid from the wardrobe, hinting that Sarnai might be meeting someone important later. Seizing the opportunity, Sarnai says, Today I wish to introduce myself to Princess Hana. Can you arrange a meeting for me? My lady, the princess is usually very busy, but I will see what I can do, one maid responds. After lunch, freshly bathed and adorned with essential oils, perfume, and a meticulous manicure, Sarnai feels like she's being prepared for a significant event, perhaps to meet someone considered influential enough to justify such an elaborate presentation. As Sarnai idles away the time, engaging in the limited diversions available within the confines of her yurt, one of her guards enters. Lady Sarnai, Princess Sashi wishes to know if you would be available for a meeting. The young princess is one of the last people Sarnai was expecting to seek her out, yet she greets this surprise with a genuine smile and rises to welcome her guest. Lady Sarnai, thank you for welcoming me, says the princess as she enters. Princess Sashi, it is always a pleasure to see you, Sarnai replies warmly. The conversation between Sashi and Sarnai flows pleasantly and informally, covering aspects of Sashi's life, her likes and dislikes. Despite not being the most astute in courtly matters, Sashi is keenly observant and enjoys discussing her family. As they sip tea, Sashi brings up a topic close to her heart. "Do you like bow hunting?" Sashi inquires. "I'm afraid I'm not very proficient with a bow," Sarnai admits. "I only shoot at targets, but I'm quite good at it," Sashi boasts, a sparkle in her eye. "I could teach you if you like. How about we go tomorrow? We can take the horses out, and I'll show you around." "Why not? I would love that. Let's plan it for one day soon." Sarnai agrees, appreciating the friendly gesture. "What about your family? Where are you from?" Sashi asks, eager to learn more. "My family belongs to a small tribe called the Chulyms. I have a father, mother, and a little sister. We all used to live together in a yurt much smaller than this one," Sarnai shares, a hint of nostalgia in her voice. "How old is your sister?" Sashi probes further. "She's 14 now," Sarnai answers. "That means she's only a year older than I am," Sashi realizes, her interest piqued. "I'm sure if you both met, you would become best friends," Sarnai suggests warmly. "Best friends just like you and I?" Sashi asks hopefully. "Yes, just like you and I," Sarnai confirms with a reassuring smile. The princess then ventures, "Is your sister as beautiful as you are?" "My sister is even prettier than I am," Sarnai replies, her tone affectionate. Sashi giggles, disbelief coloring her voice. "No, you must be joking. No one can be prettier than you." Then, moving closer, Sashi takes a strand of Sarnai's long, silky hair, admiring its texture. "I love your hair. It's so beautiful and soft. Mine are black and thick," she remarks, her voice losing some of its earlier excitement. Sarnai places her hand gently on Sashi's face, smiling broadly. "You are perfect just the way you are, Sashi." Without a filter, the princess blurts out, "Will you become my new sister?" Sarnai, masking her uncertainty with a practiced smile, responds, "I don't know if Prince Tuwu and I are meant for each other." As they speak, the sound of raindrops begins to patter on the yurt's roof, adding a cozy backdrop to their deepening bond. A maid enters the yurt, breaking the intimate atmosphere. "Lady Sarnai, Princess Hana has agreed to meet with you mid-morning tomorrow," she announces. In response, Sashi embraces Sarnai, resting her head gently against Sarnai's collarbone. Looking up, she asks with hopeful eyes, "Will we meet again soon?" Sarnai replies with a warm smile, "Yes, of course." Sashi stands, and before exiting the yurt, she turns to bow respectfully, a gesture Sarnai reciprocates. Then the princess departs. As the rain intensifies outside, Sarnai finds herself confined to the yurt. Feeling a bit restless, she inquires about possible activities. The maids suggest, "We could sing and perform some traditional dances, offering a diversion from the downpour." The next day, the weather shows no signs of improvement. Equipped to face the elements, Sarnai and one of her maids make their way to Princess Hana's yurt across the muddy terrain, rivulets of rainwater streaming around them. Upon arriving, Sarnai's maid provides clean fur slippers to maintain cleanliness within the princess's home. After removing her wet hooded coat, Sarnai enters to find Princess Hana awaiting her arrival, seated at a table with tea already prepared. They exchange salutes in a respectful and formal manner. Taking a seat, Sarnai expresses her gratitude for the meeting. "How may I assist you, Lady Sarnai?" Hana inquires, her accent hinting at her Chinese heritage. "Princess Hana, first of all, I wish to apologize if I have wronged you in any way. Please be assured that I bear no ill will towards you. I feel I am as much a victim of these circumstances as you are," Sarnai begins. While observing Hana's features, which clearly suggest her Eastern origins, Hana responds, "Your request for a visit was unexpected. I appreciate your gesture to pay your respects as the first wife of the future Khan, but I fail to see how you believe we are both victims here. I am certain you understand my situation, yet you, my dear, have encountered an opportunity to be with the prince and possibly replace me. How can I blame you for seizing that?" Hana's comment sends a chill through Sarnai, who replies, Princess Hana, I believe you have not been fully informed. That would hardly surprise me. These days I am seldom informed of much. Hana answers with a hint of resignation. Taking a deep breath, Sarnai clarifies, I did not come here willingly. Prince Tuwu abducted me from my clan. My feelings towards him are far from affectionate. If anything, they align more with being a guest here, as the prince likes to put it. I am sorry to hear that. This is indeed unfortunate for you. After a heavy silence settles, the princess adds, During the banquet, you seemed to enjoy yourself, albeit a bit reserved. If what you say is true, you have already adapted well to court behavior. Appearance is half the battle. Despite everything, Sarnai admits, I was in good company. Yes, they know how to make one feel welcome, Hana responds. Appearance is half the battle. Now, I think I understand better what's at play here. While sipping her tea, she adds, Please drink. This invitation unsettles Sarnai. As the princess sets down her cup, she mentions casually, If I had intended to poison you, I wouldn't have chosen here. These words send a wave of discomfort through Sarnai, who cautiously takes a sip, her fingers instinctively touching her lips with her tongue. What can I assist you with today, Lady Sarnai? Hana inquires. Sarnai responds, I'm trying to understand what's really happening here. Cutting in, Hana explains, It's quite straightforward. You are young, beautiful, and appear healthy, qualities any man would value, especially if you also accommodate. I do not provide services in any manner, Sarnai clarifies firmly. With a knowing smile, Hana continues, Since the prince no longer shares his bed with me, I assume you have taken over that role. Good for you, Lady Sarnai. She pauses, then adds reflectively, You must be some kind of really rare bird for the prince to invest so much in you with what seems like nothing in return. This is what I'm trying to understand, Sarnai begins, her voice measured. I'm well aware of the ultimate goals of men, especially those with power. Since we've arrived, I've noticed changes in the prince. I'm trying to discern his true nature. Is he the violent, impulsive man who took me from my home, or is he the gentle and beloved brother that Sashi speaks of? Hana reflects on this for a moment before responding. You're wise to seek clarity, especially since everyone expects you to become his next wife. You should know all there is about us before making any decisions. The prince and I have been married for 7 years. It was a political union. As you might know, I have not been able to provide him with a child. Throughout our marriage, he has never raised his hand to me, though in our circles he might have been justified. Lately, I've noticed he's become increasingly involved with the female staff. Though I've never denied him his rights, his interest in me has waned. His childlessness is now a major concern. Sarnai's voice softens, tinged with empathy. What do you plan to do? It's clear he intends to remarry. Hana's response is resigned. The law is clear. If he wants a legitimate heir, he must be married to the child's mother. As for me, I have 4 options. I can accept the situation and retain my status as first wife, step down willingly, resist and inevitably lose, or meet my end, whether by my own hand or another's. I am sorry to hear that, Sarnai says with a sigh. Hana nods solemnly, adding, As you mentioned, we are both victims of circumstances. After a pause, she continues, To answer your earlier question, he truly loves Sashi. Sarnai thanks Princess Hana for her insights and time, then leaves after exchanging formal farewells. Just outside the princess's yurt, as Sarnai walks back to her quarters, she is greeted by Prince Tuwu. Good morning, Lady Sarnai. Without turning toward him and continuing her walk, she responds, Good morning, Prince Tuwu. Is it a coincidence that you're here, or have you been waiting in the rain after asking someone where I was? Sashi, he responds simply. Sashi, I see, Sarnai acknowledges. She can't stop talking about you, Tuwu adds. I've never seen her like this before. Obsessed it seems to run in the family, she murmurs under her breath. Sorry, I didn't catch that, Tuwu says, puzzled. She is a sweet girl, your sister, Sarnai says in a genuinely warm tone. As they arrive at her yurt, Sarnai turns to face Tuwu. Well, Prince, have a good day. Tuwu looks up at the rainy sky and asks, What are you going to do now? Sarnai turns her head briefly toward her yurt and back again. Just staying in my prison for the day. Do you require a prison mate? Not much else to do in this weather, Tuwu offers. It's not like I can stop you from coming in either, Sarnai responds. Inside, shoeless, Tuwu is sitting by the table. Sarnai politely sit on the other side. Would you like some tea? No tea for me, Tuwu says. Will you ask me about what Princess Hana told me? Tuwu says. Why that? Do I need to change your mind? Sarnai asks. What do you do for entertaining here? Tuwu says. Do you have to talk in question? Sarnai query. Does that make you uncomfortable? He says in a teasing voice. Sarnai let go a small grin noticed by Tuwu. Looking at one of the maid, Tuwu orders her to arrange for his game of Togu's Kumalak to be brought in. Looking at Sarnai, do you play Togu's Kumalak? Sarnai responds, Another question I see. This time Tuwu lets a small grin out. Tuwu scans the interior of Sarnai's yurt, seemingly evaluating how she has settled into her new surroundings. After a lingering silence, Sarnai shifts the conversation. I will ask to see Princess Aria next. My older sister, Tuwu responds, a hint of approval in his voice. You will find much to discuss with her. She is the keeper of our family, he explains, then adds, While my father is the keeper of the realm, are you considering speaking with him as well? I doubt the Khan would indulge the whims of a girl from a small tribe, Sarnai replies with a slight edge to her voice. Besides, I suspect the answers I seek won't be found with him. At that moment, one of the female guards passes on to Tuwu something wrapped in damp leather. He unwraps it to reveal his Toga's Kumalak board. Placing the stone bids into the central holes of the board, splitting them evenly, he revisits his earlier inquiry. So, do you play Toga's Kumalak? Sarnai collects her bids and begins arranging them on her side of the board. I've played a few games in my time, she says. Lady Sarnai, start the game, Tuwu prompts. As she moves her bids, Sarnai comments, It's strange how 4 days ago you barely knew my name, and now suddenly I'm Lady Sarnai. Tuwu remains silent, focusing on his own moves. The game continues, and after several turns, Tuwu poses another question, veiling his phrasing to keep it impersonal. What do you think about the imperial family? Sarnai immediately notes his deliberate distancing in the question. If you win this game, I'll answer your question, she proposes. 45 moves later, Tuwu wins, prompting him with a smile to say, You lost. Now answer this. What do you think about the imperial family? I've had positive interactions with every sibling of yours I've met so far, and your father seems respectable from what I can tell. Even Princess Hana, though initially distant, showed we could find common ground. This last statement irked Tuwu as intended. You forgot to mention someone, Tuwu probes further. As Sarnai starts rearranging her bids for another game, she retorts, If you want more answers, you'll have to win again. Tuwu readies his side of the board, his grin returning. Lady Sarnai, please start the game. Sarnai lays out her challenge. If I win, you must answer one of my questions honestly. I agree, Tuwu concedes. The ensuing game is tenser than the first, with Sarnai narrowly claiming victory. She looks intently at Tuwu, half expecting him to leave, but he stays put, braced for her question. Why did you do it? Why did you abduct me? Tuwu casts a glance at the two maids who have been present throughout their conversation. Catching his look, they bow respectfully and quickly exit the yurt, forgetting the pouring rain. After a moment of silent contemplation, Tuwu speaks, his voice measured. After years in a fruitless marriage, I wanted what would be best for me. The day I saw you, I couldn't shake your image from my mind. I had my men keep an eye on your tribe. When you were with your friend at the river, they informed me, and I made my decision. I had to have you, and so I acted. Sarnai, not fully satisfied with his response, presses him. You haven't truly answered my question. Tuwu stands, his demeanor reserved. I believe I have. He bows slightly. Have a good day, Lady Sarnai. You're forgetting you're bored, Sarnai points out as he turns to leave. Tuwu responds, No, I am not. If I want to play Togu's Kumalak, I know where to go. With that, he steps out into the rain. The following day brought little relief from the weather. Inside her yurt, Sarnai passed the time by idly flicking stone bids with her fingertips, her attention half on the court tales and gossip shared by the maids. A servant entered, bringing an assortment of items: food, drinks, embroidery sets, musical instruments, additional game sets, and a small cabinet. These are gifts from Prince Tuwu, my lady, the servant announced. With these games, Sarnai found some semblance of entertainment. She laughed and bonded further with her maids over the playful interactions. When the rain finally ceased, Sarnai seized the opportunity to take her first walk outside. The warm sunlight quickly dried the land, leaving the air pleasantly humid. Accompanied by 2 of her guards, she chose the open prairie for her stroll, finding it more liberating than the village or the woods. Soon, the familiar sound of galloping horses approaches. Sarnai counts about 5 horses closing in on her position. Princess Sashi, riding a small horse, pulls up alongside Sarnai, greeting her cheerfully. Good morning, Lady Sarnai. Sarnai responds warmly. Good morning, Princess Sashi. I heard you were out for a walk. Are you still interested in bow shooting with me? Sashi asks eagerly. Here? Sarnai inquires, looking around at the open prairie. While sliding down her horse before on of the men could help her out, she adds, This is a perfect spot. This trigger a flurry of business for the men, with one presenting a well-crafted bow and arrow to the princess, and another man doing the same to Sarnai. A third man set a tripod made of wood, with straw and a skin covering it at roughly 20 paces. My bow is still small, Sashi says. Soon I will get a bigger one. The one you have is from one of my sisters. Sarnai investigates further. Do you shoot with your sisters? Not really, the princess replies while taking an arrow and aiming. Arya never did that. Releasing her arrow, missing the target by inches, my 2 other sisters did shoot with me when I was younger, but they became women with real women attributes and could not shoot anymore. Aiming with another arrow. Nowadays, releasing again and hitting the target on the lower side, this is mostly with my brothers when they have time. Loading the next arrow, which is less and less. The arrow strikes just higher the previous one. I mostly do it alone, which is boring. Looking at Sarnai, your turn. Sarnai gestures to her guards and the attending men, signaling that she would appreciate more privacy for her time with the princess. As she nocks her first arrow, Sarnai inquires, What do your sisters do? Her arrow falls short of the target. Arya helps father with diplomatic matters, Sashi replies, watching Sarnai's attempt. She's always directing people. Sarnai releases her second arrow, which doesn't fare much better. My other sisters are pretty dull. They're mostly into playing, dancing, and wearing jewelry, she adds dismissively, while Sarnai is drawing another arrow. The only ones who are any fun are my brothers. Her third arrow has better range but veers far right, missing the mark. For the next hour, the 2 friends enjoy their time together, although Sarnai only manages to hit the target with 2 of her arrows. As they finish, Sashi escorts Sarnai back to her yurt on horseback. When they arrive, Sarnai places a grateful kiss on Sashi's temple, thanking her for the day. This gesture brings a genuine smile to Sashi's face. With no mother and scant physical affection from her siblings, this simple act of kindness was precisely what Sashi needed. Upon entering her yurt, Sarnai is surprised to find Tuwu seated at the table, a toga's kumalak board set up before him. "Good afternoon, Prince Tuwu. How may I assist you?" she greets, prepared to entertain the prince. "Good afternoon, Lady Sarnai. Would you care for a game of toga's kumalak today?" Tuwu proposes, noting Sarnai's pleasant demeanor. "The same stakes as before," Sarnai proposes. "Be careful what you wish for," Tuwu quips. Beside the board, he has arranged an assortment of finger foods and drinks. "Please, start, Lady Sarnai." As she moves her bids, Sarnai remarks, "I've been shooting with your sister. I really like her, and from what I gather, she holds you in high regard. Perhaps you do have some redeeming qualities deep inside, Prince." Tuwu scoffs lightly. "It seems you can only speak of Sashi. She can be overwhelming if you let her take charge. Yet she possesses a keen sense of character." "We'll see about that," Sarnai mutters softly. Their conversation drifts to more mundane topics for the remainder of the game until Tuwu, with a strategic grin, places his last bids and secures the win. "So what will it be, Prince Tuwu?" Sarnai inquires. Tuwu ponders how best to phrase his question. "There's something distinctly unique about you." "What is it?" he finally asks. Sarnai smiles gently. "Very well, I'll tell you. I walk with the spirits. I always have. I thought my life would be one of peace among my people. Fate, it seems, has other plans for me. I'm not sure whether to embrace it or resist it. The choice I make could significantly impact us all." Tuwu doesn't fully grasp her cryptic words, yet he senses the truth in them. There really is something remarkable about her, he thinks. "Are you up for another game?" Sarnai asks. Tuwu responds with an enthusiastic grin. Sarnai declares confidently, "You will lose." Tuwu counters with a slight smirk. "My lady, last time you were simply lucky." He leans forward, intrigued. "I suspect there's more you haven't told me." As the game concludes narrowly in Sarnai's favor, she remarks, "Looks like I got lucky again." Tuwu, sipping his mead, masks his frustration with a half-smile. With a more serious tone, Sarnai probes, "Why did you abduct me?" Tuwu knows the gravity of the question and, having previously shared his initial motives, he sends the maids away with a discreet glance. "Yes, it began with lust. But it didn't take long for me to see you're far more than just a simple forest girl. I saw potential in you, a potential greater than I had anticipated. You have the capacity to influence those around you positively if you choose to embrace it." Sarnai, choosing not to delve deeper for now, silently resets her side of the board, signaling her temporary acceptance of his explanation. Their conversation continues, flowing seamlessly into another game, which Tuwu wins. As they wrap up, he asks casually, "So what are you planning to do now?" "I'm still figuring that out," Sarnai responds thoughtfully, her gaze drifting to the pieces on the board. "I have some soul-searching to do." "Lady Sarnai," Tuwu stands, preparing to leave, "I've truly enjoyed our time together. Thank you. I hope we can do this again soon." He bows respectfully, a gesture Sarnai returns. As Tuwu steps towards the exit, Sarnai calls out, "Feel free to come back." He nods, feeling an unexpected lightness in his step as he leaves.